clear-cut distinction between male and female as biological categories. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
That's what you wrote.
Sorry, that is not correct.
That's what you wrote. Look, I'm reading your article, your Time Magazine article. Just to be clear, you wrote this while you were a sitting judge, 2017? You were on the bench?
That is correct, after a case I had.
Right. So, interesting choice to be writing opinion pieces about your cases, but in any event, you say that controversial pieces of legislation enacted in the last 2 decades rely on a clear-cut interpretation of sex, what I just asked you. But you say that that's wrong. In fact, gender is an intricate continuum and not 2 tidy boxes. That's what you say. So have you changed your opinion? You just gave me a different answer.
I believe that, generally speaking, there are 2 sexes, male and female, that are designated by a doctor at birth, and that applies to the vast majority of people.
But that laws that are based on that distinction are impermissible. That's what you say in this article. Is that correct? That's still your view?
That is not what I say.
Really?
All right. If that opening snippet didn't make your jaw drop, I don't know what will. Because what we just witnessed is Senator Josh Hawley doing what so few people in Washington are willing to do anymore. Confront a judicial nominee head-on about their own written record. And listen, this isn't speculation, this isn't hearsay, this isn't social media drama. He is literally reading the nominee's own article back to them, an article they wrote while sitting on the bench, and they are trying to pretend none of it means what it clearly says. That is exactly why moments like this matter. Senator Hawley has built a reputation for cutting to the polished, vague, politically safe answers nominees give and pressing until the truth comes out. And in this hearing, he showed exactly why he is one of the strongest voices holding the judiciary accountable. I have a lot to say about this clip, so stick with me. But before we roll the full hearing, hit that like button, subscribe for more real political breakdowns, drop a comment telling me, do you believe judges should be allowed to publicly publish sweeping ideological statements and then claim neutrality during confirmation? All right, let's roll the full video.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to all the nominees. Thanks for being here. Judge Wise, let me just start with you. So, as I understand it, you don't think that there really is any clear-cut distinction between male and female as biological categories. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
That's what you wrote.
Sorry. That is not correct.
Well, that's what you wrote. Look, I'm reading your article, your Time Magazine article. Just to be clear, you wrote this while you were a sitting judge, 2017? You were on the bench?
That is correct, after a case I had.
Right. So, interesting choice to be writing opinion pieces about your cases, but in any event, you say that controversial pieces of legislation enacted in the last 2 decades rely on a clear-cut interpretation of sex, what I just asked you. But you say that that's wrong. In fact, gender is an intricate continuum and not 2 tidy boxes. That's what you say. So have you changed your opinion? You just gave me a different answer.
I believe that, generally speaking, there are 2 sexes, male and female, that are designated by a doctor at birth, and that applies to the vast majority of people.
But that laws that are based on that distinction are impermissible. That's what you say in this article. Is that correct? That's still your view?
That is not what I say.
Really? You say that if there is, for instance, a law that requires a distinction between male and female in bathrooms, that the judges cannot apply that law with any consistency, can't apply it consistent with equal protection. There are no, what is it? It's virtually impossible for judges to consistently apply a law that permits or prohibits conduct based on whether someone is a man or a woman. So all bathroom laws that require biological sex, that designate bathrooms based on biological sex, are impermissible?
That is not the position that I took in the article.
That's what it says. It's impossible for judges to consistently apply a law that permits or prohibits conduct based on whether someone is a man or a woman. And you specifically cite bathroom laws as an example of this. In fact, you criticize the then Trump administration's designation of gender-based bathrooms. Right? Sounds like you've made up your mind on a lot of things, but I just want to get clear on this because this is an important issue, certainly to people in my state.
It's very important.
You think that bathroom designation, same with locker rooms, I guess, girls' locker rooms impermissible, biological men have to be permitted into girls' locker rooms?
That is absolutely not what I said in my
That is
article.
absolutely the import and the takeaway of your piece. You suggest at least 3 different constitutional problems with any gender-based laws, including specifically bathroom laws. You write about it. Equal protection violation, due process, void for vagueness. I was making a list as I was reading through. You say that our biological variability means that a 2-bathroom, even 2-sex-based approach is inadequate. Judges cannot apply it. So if Title IX is interpreted to protect women's sports, biological women playing sports with other biological women, it's unconstitutional?
Senator,
That's a yes or no.
I was referring to the 5 babies born a day that doctors have challenges.
No, you wrote an article that is extremely broad that pronounces on a range of issues and pronounces quite definitively. What's this comment at the end of your article about the fact that judges must see the world through a secular lens, and when legislators blur the lines of church and state to enact laws that permit or prohibit conduct based on biological gender as only male or female, they place an impossible burden on the judiciary? What's that mean? The distinctions between male and female are a violation of church and state?
Judges have to be able to administer these laws if the direction, and I have to tell you, I work really hard to get it right, to do exactly what Congress tells me to do and the legislature tells me to do. And as a result, if a doctor finds it difficult to identify at the moment of birth for certain children.
Is a law that distinguishes between male and female a violation of church and state? You say when legislators blur the lines of church and state and enact laws that permit or prohibit conduct based on biological gender as only male and female, they place an impossible burden on the judiciary. So this is a First Amendment violation?
If what you are telling judges is that in order
I'm
to
not
make-
telling you anything. I'm reading you your comments, and I am asking you if you are still committed to these, and it sounds like you are. I have to tell you, I think these positions are insane. I think the idea that laws based on the distinction between male and female are a violation of church and state is insane. Totally insane. I think the idea that laws that would say women's locker rooms are protected from biological men, that those are impermissible, that's insane. But that's what you say in this article. You're going to have to recuse yourself in a lot of cases, aren't you? Will you recuse in every case involving biological sex, if you're confirmed?
Senator, respectfully, that is not what the article says.
You have pronounced on all of these issues. Will you recuse yourself in any case involving Title IX, biological sex, challenges to locker rooms, girls' sports, bathroom bills? All of those things are covered in this article that you wrote while you were a sitting judge. Don't you think that was impermissible? Will you recuse? Let's get an answer to that.
Senator, your time is expired.
Will you recuse?
I did not take a position as to those issues that you have raised.
You took a position on all of these things, and your position is insane. Totally insane. I will absolutely not vote for you. There's not a world in which I could support you. I can't believe you have been nominated. And if you are confirmed, which I hope will not happen, you absolutely must recuse across all of these cases or stand in violation of the Code of Judicial Conduct. I'm shocked you're sitting here today.
Okay, now that we've watched the entire exchange, let me be absolutely clear. Senator Hawley was 100% right to press this nominee, and he was right to do it forcefully. This wasn't a minor disagreement. This wasn't an innocent misinterpretation. This was a nominee trying to walk away from an article that they wrote. Plainly, clearly, and unapologetically, arguing that fundamental sex-based distinctions in law may be unconstitutional or unworkable. And Hawley wasn't having it. Let's go through what he exposed. 1. The nominee denied their own written words. Hawley quoted directly from the article, line by line, verbatim, and each time the nominee responded with, "That's not what I said." But it was what they said. It was printed, published, and signed with their name. Hawley wasn't twisting anything. He was reading. 2. Hawley highlighted how radical the article's conclusions really were. The article claimed, gender is a continuum. Judges cannot consistently apply laws based on male-female distinctions. Bathroom laws may violate constitutional protections, and that such laws blur church-state lines. These are extremely broad, extremely consequential positions, and the nominee wrote all of this while sitting as a judge. Hawley's shock? Completely justified. 3. He made it clear why this matters for real people. This isn't an academic debate. This affects women's locker rooms, girls' sports, bathroom safety, Title IX protections, equal protection consistency, and Hawley hammered that point home. He spoke for the millions of people, parents, athletes, women, students, who care about fairness, safety, and the preservation of biological categories in law. 4. Hawley exposed the nominee's attempt to dodge responsibility. The nominee kept pivoting to, well, doctors misidentify some babies, which was completely irrelevant to the broader sweeping constitutional claims they made. Hawley wasn't fooled. He kept bringing the conversation back to the text. And that is exactly what a strong senator and a real watchdog should do. 5. He raised a critical question of recusal. If a judge has publicly taken a position on every major sex-based legal issue, how can they possibly rule on any related case without bias? Hawley forced that question into the light. The nominee refused to commit, which only proved the point. 6. Hawley ended with total clarity and zero political sugarcoating. I will absolutely not vote for you. He didn't hedge. He didn't do the polite soft walk. He told the truth as he saw it. The nominee's positions are incompatible with a neutral judiciary, and honestly, I respect